Thought I'd do a quick video just on the micron gauge. So I have the vacuum pump on and I'm down to 468 grams right now, and it's bouncing up and down. And as you see here, going back, it constantly is bouncing up and down. And it started out above 700 grams, and then it came down, and then you see it bounce up, and then you see it go down a little bit lower, and then you see it bounce up, but it didn't quite bounce up as high as the first time. And then you see that pattern constantly repeating. It bounces back up, but not as high as the time it did before. And then it goes down a little lower. And you can see you're going in 9 minutes into it. And I started at about 700 grams by the time I turned this on. And it only took about 2 minutes to get to 700 grams, and then it like plateaued out. It was staying in the 700 range for about 2 or 3 minutes. I said, oh, this is a good time to make a video. So I just turned on the camera. Now there's a big one right there. And what this is, since this was a used system, and even though I recovered all the refrigerant out of it, there's still some refrigerant trapped into oil up in the evaporator and all around the system. And there's still some moisture that's trapped into oil throughout the whole system. And so this will continuously keep doing this, but this number will go up and down the whole time. And eventually it'll get lower and lower and lower. And this might happen in minutes. This might happen in an hour. This might happen in 3 hours, 8 hours, 24 hours. It may never happen depending on how bad the system is. Vacuum time does not depend on time. It is not a time, it's a level. And you can read the level with a micron gauge. And depending on how badly contaminated the system is with moisture will depend on what level the micron level will get, and it'll hold and it'll level out. And eventually all these bumps will disappear. All these little jagged lines will disappear, and it'll become a smooth graft going down. And then say it comes down here to around 200, 100 microns. And then all of a sudden, after a while, it might be many hours, you'll see no more little jumps. It'll be a smooth line, like a dead person's heartbeat. And it'll just be nice and smooth. And then you know, basically, you have reached the minimum level that you could pull that system to. And the limitation is on your equipment. The limitation is on what kind of hoses you're using, how well your seals are, because no matter how great your vacuum pump might be, if you're just using regular refrigerant hoses, that's your limitation right there. You only could go so low. And when you turn it off, and if you're trying to measure the leakage with regular refrigerant hoses, some of the outgassing comes from the hoses that you're using. So you'll get a false higher reading just because you went through gauges. That is where you use a separate gauge. And like you would get just this blue hose right here, this vacuum hose, and say you hooked it right to the valve, say the suction valve over there, and you put your micron gauge and you attach it right up here, and you put your micron gauge, you take all your reading right here, but you pull over there. This will give you the most true reading representation of the micron level in the system. And as you see, it's still going down. All right, that's good enough on the microns here now. Just have a little bit of time because I got to get working.